As people across the nation come together to remember Charlie Kirk, authorities reveal more details about the actions and potential motives of the murder suspect.
He has not confessed to authorities. He is not cooperating.
I'm Daily Wire Executive Editor John Bickley with Georgia Howe. It's Monday, September 15th, and this is Morning Wire.
Companies across the country are cracking down on workers celebrating Kirk's death, and in many cases, ending their employment entirely.
People don't understand that freedom of speech protects you from being arrested and put in jail for what you say, but it doesn't protect you from losing your job if you're irresponsible.
And with the nation still reeling from the stabbing in Charlotte, a new investigation pulls back the curtain on a shadowy group pushing soft-on-crime policies across the country.
Thanks for waking up with Morning Wire. Stay tuned. We have the news you need to know. As America continues to mourn the assassination of Charlie Kirk, stunning new details have emerged about the alleged gunman who took his life.
Here with the latest is Daily Wire senior editor Cabot Phillips. Hey, Cabot, so a lot of developments this weekend, a lot of which the media frankly buried or ignored. Let's start with what led up to the suspect's arrest.
Yeah, as we reported, family members of 22-year-old Tyler Robinson saw the FBI's suspect images circulating and recognized his face. When they confronted their son, he reportedly confessed to the shooting, but said he would rather take his own life than turn himself in. That then prompted his father to call a family friend who was also a youth pastor and former law enforcement official, and he then alerted the U.S. Marshal Service. Together, the two convinced him to turn himself in peacefully when authorities eventually arrived. He's now being charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, and also obstruction of justice. And remember, the governor said they will be seeking the death penalty.
Right, and something that Trump wants him to do, he said very emphatically. Now, what have we learned about the suspect's background? A lot more has come to light, correct?
Well, many in the media continue to say that there's just no way of knowing the potential motive here. Others have gone as far as speculating that the shooter could have even been far-right and gone after Kirk for that reason. But there is increasing evidence that Robinson despised Kirk for his conservative political views. First, there are the shell casings found with the gun. One was inscribed with the words, quote, "Hey fascist, catch." According to Utah Governor Spencer Cox, quote, "It's very clear to us and to the investigators that this was a person who was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology." According to authorities, Robinson was in also a potentially romantic relationship with his roommate. It was a man who reportedly identifies as a transgender woman. Again, that's a fact that also has been largely ignored by the media. That roommate is cooperating with authorities who've been combing through the pair's chat history for more evidence on a potential motive and even to see if the roommate could have been involved in some way. But for his part, Robinson has yet to confess to law enforcement and is not cooperating. Here's Utah Governor Cox to that point on Sunday.
All the people around him were cooperating, and I think that's very important. There were reports yesterday that we can confirm that his roommate was indeed a boyfriend who is transitioning from male to female.
Now authorities are also digging through a number of messaging platforms, including Discord, where Robinson was incredibly active over the last few years. At one point after the shooting, fellow users seemingly recognized his face from those FBI images. They tagged him and joked that they would turn him in and split the reward money. Robinson reportedly responded by saying if they did that, he wanted a cut of the money and that, quote, he better also get rid of his manifesto, an exact copy rifle that I have laying around. So he was very soon after this joking around with his friends. Obviously, authorities are also looking into that messaging history to see if any of those acquaintances had advanced knowledge or could have helped plan in some way.
Right. Lots of questions remain about who else might have been involved, what role they might have played. Now, we also heard from Charlie's wife, Erica, for the first time over the weekend. Tell us what we heard from her.
Yeah, the clearly emotional widow offered an address to the nation standing behind her late husband's empty radio chair. She thanked the millions of Americans who've offered their support while sending a message to the assassin and those who've been cheering on his evil deed.
They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country. The movement my husband built will not die.
On Saturday, Turning Point USA announced plans for a memorial honoring Kirk at State Farm Stadium. That's where the Arizona Cardinals play. Tens of thousands, maybe more, are expected to turn out for that service. Online fundraisers for Charlie's family have also brought in millions of dollars. One of those efforts with Give, Send, Go broke the all-time record for most money raised in the shortest period of time. There's also been a surge in those watching Charlie's content online and looking to get involved. His social media channels, which are still active, have gained millions of new followers in the last 72 hours. And get this, Turning Point officials say they've received 32,000 requests to start new groups at colleges and high schools nationwide. Yeah.
Really incredible to see his movement not just growing, but growing exponentially since this tragedy. Kevin, thanks for reporting.
Absolutely.
While there have been countless touching tributes to Charlie Kirk, we've also seen plenty of people on the left celebrating his death. And there have already been some consequences for those celebrations.
Daily Wire culture reporter Megan Basham is here now to discuss. So Megan, as upsetting as it can be to cover, we have to acknowledge that there were a lot of comments online and videos circulating of people expressing happiness that Kirk passed.
Yes. And, I'll be honest with you, Georgia, a lot of that has been truly shocking to people. Videos like this circulating online. Punk rap duo Bob Vylan made some truly awful comments at their concert in Amsterdam on Saturday.
I want to dedicate this next one to an absolute piece of a human being. The pronouns was, were. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk, you piece.
Meanwhile, many teachers, professors, executives are being disciplined or fired over their celebrations of Charlie Kirk's death. Now, a lot of media outlets have been describing this as retaliation for people merely posting opinions or being insensitive. That's how NPR and NBC framed it. But I don't think that goes nearly far enough. The kind of posts we're talking about are people explicitly cheering or celebrating Charlie's death. And in that sense, I think potentially encouraging more such violence. So East Tennessee State University placed 2 faculty on leave for posts like, "This isn't a tragedy, it's a victory." The dean of students at Middle Tennessee was fired for saying, "Charlie spoke his fate into existence." In New Orleans, a firefighter is on leave for calling the bullet a gift from God. Both American Airlines and Delta have had to put pilots and staff on leave or fired them for making similar such comments. And of course, this follows MSNBC commentator Matthew Dowd, who was fired last Thursday for basically suggesting that Charlie had it coming.
Now, I believe we've also seen some disciplinary actions even in the government and military too, correct?
Yes, that's correct. A Secret Service agent was placed on administrative leave, and sources are telling me imminent firing after a Facebook post saying that karma had caught up with Charlie. Unfortunately, this is just a small sampling, so I don't think we can call this fringe, but the public is reacting with shock and disgust, as they should.
Now, let's turn to some more worthy voices, those celebrating Kirk's life and his legacy, some of which are coming from some unexpected places. What have we heard from there?
Yes, so the outpouring of love, affection, condolences for Charlie Kirk are continuing. Just last week, the NFL held a moment of silence before the Packers-Commanders game for Charlie. The Tennessee Titans had another one. NASCAR had a flyover in his honor. And then there's the music industry. So country star Jason Aldean talked about getting to know Charlie on a personal level.
Charlie's a guy that's going to be very, very much missed. And this is something that his legacy is going to live on forever with Turning Point and what he's done with only 31 years on this planet. It's amazing. So.
Another country star, Morgan Wallen, addressed Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow.
I'm going to say a whole bunch on this, but this song right here has been hitting me harder in the last couple of days, and I just wanted to let Erica Kirk know that me and my family are sending prayers her way.
Luke Bryan also paid tribute. And then on the rock scene, we've got Coldplay, who maybe a little unexpectedly encouraged the crowd of 90,000 at their London concert to show some love for Charlie Kirk and his family. And really, that's just, again, a small sampling. This kind of thing is happening all over the country, and it joins all of the prayer vigils and memorials that are also taking place. And in fact, I'm going to one of those tonight.
And several of us attended one last night as well. Megan, thanks for reporting.
My pleasure.
Finding the right hire can drag on for months. You're either waiting for decent candidates to apply, drowning in resumes that don't fit, or chasing down people who aren't even looking for jobs. What should be straightforward turns into a frustrating cycle of waiting and sorting. Well, now the future of hiring looks much brighter because of ZipRecruiter's latest tools and features that help speed up finding the right people for your roles, so you save valuable time. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/wire. One thing that really stands out about ZipRecruiter is how quickly you can connect with the right people for your team. When you see a candidate that catches your eye, you can unlock their contact information right away instead of waiting around or jumping through hoops. Plus, with over 320,000 new resumes being added every month, you're constantly getting access to fresh talent, which means you can fill those open positions much faster than you'd expect. Use ZipRecruiter and save time hiring. 4 out of 5 employees who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/wire right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/wire. That's ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
The slaying of a Ukrainian refugee in North Carolina has spurred calls for accountability for politicians who have created a revolving door for violent criminals.
A new report found that one billionaire-backed influence group has helped spread soft-on-crime policies to prosecutors' offices across the country. Joining us now is Daily Wire investigative reporter Luke Rosiak. Hey, Luke. So tell us what you found here.
Hey, John. So there's been a lot of attention on how billionaires like George Soros spent more than $100 million funding campaigns for these so-called progressive prosecutors in cities across the country. These are prosecutors who often had no experience actually enforcing laws, instead were basically activists supporting the rights of suspects and convicts. And that's really what caused a huge change in the way that America deals with crime over the last decade. But a new investigation from the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund found that after they were elected, an outside activist group funded by the same people that funded the campaigns helped literally run those government offices. The Wren Collective is a group started by a former public defender named Jessica Brand. And it says the system of policing and mass incarceration is deeply flawed and intractably racist. Emails obtained under public records laws show that the same billionaires who funded a prosecutor's campaign would then pay the nonprofit to offer free services to the prosecutor for things like policy making and communications.
All right, so basically offering to fund their own sort of quasi-governmental employees. It's kind of like ExxonMobil providing employees to work for the EPA, correct?
Exactly. A new prosecutor's campaign donor would connect him with the Wren Collective, which would offer to write policies and say, quote, "We do this work without any billing or publicity. These policies will be yours." So pending approval of exactly what they intended to do, the funder would then release money to Wren. And this tiny group worked for a stunning 40-plus prosecutors' offices and wrote policies such as eliminating cash bail and declining to prosecute certain misdemeanors.
That's remarkable. You could argue this is literally buying government. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, they were doing work for taxpayers, but they arguably viewed their donors as their actual clients. And so, behind prosecutors like Alvin Bragg, Chesa Boudin, Marilyn Mosby, Rachel Rollins, and George Gascon was the Wren Collective, writing their core policies, writing op-eds attributed to them, and much more. Now, they often worked without a contract and they kept their roles secret, but they were literally intervening on specific criminal cases. Jessica Brand texted one prosecutor, San Antonio's Jose Gonzalez, that he should drop a death penalty case and asked him if she should have activists from a PAC begin pressuring judges who were causing problems. After a police officer non-fatally shot a suspect who hit him with a car, she pushed Gonzalez to drop the charges against the suspect and indict the officer instead. She even told Gonzalez what to say. Gonzalez's aide assured her that he, quote, stuck to the talking points.
So who is behind this? Who is funding this group?
Well, the Wren Collective is structured to hide its finances by operating as a subsidiary of, if you can believe it, a nonprofit that once existed to push Soviet Union propaganda in the U.S., called the American Soviet Film Initiative. It declined to tell me anything about its finances or the ethical questions raised by privately funded government aides. But the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund found that top donors include the wives of Facebook co-founders Mark Zuckerberg and Dustin Moskovitz, as well as oil heiress Stacy Schusterman and John Arnold, a former executive of the disgraced company Enron. And then there's a wild twist. After getting its hooks into government, offering these free services, courtesy of funding from these donors, Jessica Brand would then sometimes start charging taxpayers hefty fees for her services and have them paid to a for-profit LLC with the same name as the nonprofit. So after the Department of Justice said it was investigating Minneapolis prosecutor Mary Moriarty for civil rights violations because she said charging decisions would take into account a suspect's racial identity, Moriarty asked the Board of Supervisors for approval to pay Wren Collective $150,000 to counteract, quote, misinformation. And that was going to the for-profit LLC.
So Americans thought they were electing these different prosecutors, but behind the scenes was this activist group run by a former public defender. Luke, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Thanks for waking up with us. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. We'll be back later this evening with more news you need to know.
Quality sleep, that most elusive luxury we've all experienced, those nights where you can't sleep, you're just lying there breathing as the minutes tick by and frustration ensues. Those nights were all too familiar for me. But then I found Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-backed ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed, ready to seize the day. That's because Dream is made with a powerful blend of all-natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Here's the deal. Beam is giving our listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. Try their best-selling Dream Powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. Head over to shopbeam.com/wire and use code WIRE at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/wire and use code WIRE for up to 40% off. Sleep better, wake up stronger, and show up ready for your family, your work, and your country. Because when you're well rested, you're unstoppable. And this country needs more people like that.